Prince William and Catherine, the Princess of Wales' friends are opening up about how they intend to deal with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in the future, and it's utterly damning. William and Catherine are saying Harry and Meghan don't matter anymore.
That's exactly what they get for everything that they have done.
There is no sense from this royal couple, the future king and queen, that the grifters will be let in ever again.
The feature, written by Rebecca English and published around the Prince and Princess of Wales' 15-year milestone, isn't just another royal update floating around online. Not even close. The timing, the wording, the tone, everything about it feels carefully planned and tightly controlled. This looks way bigger than simple anniversary coverage. It reads like a message being delivered straight from palace circles, and people paying attention can see that instantly. Rebecca English has spent years deeply connected to royal insiders, so when she releases a detailed piece packed with sources and behind-the-scenes insight, it usually means those details are coming from people very close to the situation. That's why this doesn't feel like random commentary or tabloid chatter. It feels strategic. Every sentence sounds polished for a reason.
William and Catherine too. Who is performative and actually who has a terrible relationship behind the scenes? That's really interesting to me. William and Catherine don't feel any need to prove that everything's going great in the marriage, and Harry and Meghan do. And I think that is quite a contrast, isn't it?
Almost like each detail was selected to shape public perception in a very specific way. If someone reads this as just another royal article, they're probably missing the bigger picture entirely. One detail that instantly stood out was the steel marshmallow description attached to Catherine. That phrase wasn't thrown in by accident. It carries serious royal history behind it because it echoes the famous nickname once linked to the late Queen Mother, someone known for appearing gentle and warm on the outside while being incredibly strong underneath.
Notably, Harry isn't mentioned once. I'm told there is sadness, naturally, at how things have turned out, but William has very much placed the issue of his estranged brother to one side, to focus on the things that matter. Wow.
And honestly, that image fits perfectly with the narrative now being built around Catherine. Over the last couple of years, the pressure around her public role has been non-stop. There was the edited family photo controversy, the health concerns, constant online speculation, endless headlines questioning everything from her marriage to her public appearances. The spotlight became intense from every direction. Now, the palace narrative seems focused on resetting that image completely. The message being pushed is simple but powerful. She stayed composed through all the chaos and came out even stronger. The steel marshmallow label works almost like a brand identity.
You know, they're trying to stay above the water. They're trying to not drown in it all. You know, like putting out pieces in People magazine, going to Australia. They're trying to remain relevant, but keep trying, but you're never going to get real validated relevance because you are insignificant to the people that matter.
It paints her as calm, relatable, and elegant, while also impossible to shake under pressure. That balance between softness and resilience has always been valuable inside royal storytelling, especially during difficult periods. And now that same energy is clearly being attached to Catherine's public image in a much more direct way than before. But then comes the part of the article that really caught attention online: the brief mention of William's younger brother. And this is where the tone suddenly changes. The article barely spends time on the situation at all, but the wording says plenty. It mentions there is sadness over how things unfolded, yet says William has placed the matter to one side, so he can focus on what truly matters.
That is a damning, damning line. Those words really, really stood out to me. To focus on the things that matter. So what William and Catherine are saying, because my belief is that is a line that has come directly from Kensington Palace to Rebecca English.
That phrasing feels extremely deliberate. The use of the word estranged especially stands out because palace-connected messaging usually avoids language that direct. So seeing it appear in such a controlled and carefully written feature feels intentional. It quietly signals that the distance between the brothers is no longer being treated as temporary tension or a private disagreement. And then there's that final line: to focus on the things that matter. That's the part people are really dissecting because the implication lands hard. The article doesn't spend time discussing reconciliation, rebuilding relationships, or future conversations. None of those ideas appear. There's no emotional appeal or hopeful language about repairing family ties. Instead, the message comes across as firm and forward-looking. The focus is now on duty, stability, and future responsibilities rather than past conflict. That shift says a lot without needing dramatic wording. It frames the family divide as something already separated from the main priority list. And because this comes through a highly connected royal reporter rather than an unofficial rumor account, many viewers see it as one of the clearest signals yet about how the situation currently stands behind palace walls. Earlier reports from other royal commentators sparked debate too, especially claims suggesting the relationship between the brothers had reached a point beyond repair.
This is what's going to happen for them. It will go down and down and down for them every single year. Less and less and less importance. And I love watching it happen.
But at the time, there was still room for skepticism because those comments mostly came from individual media voices. This latest article feels different because the tone appears far more coordinated, polished, and quietly official. But now, with this carefully managed messaging, the tone feels way more final, way more intentional, and honestly impossible to ignore. The Rebecca English article doesn't just feel sourced, it feels heavily guided, with comments coming from friends and associates connected to the Prince and Princess of Wales, plus even a former staff member still close to their circle. That's not random information dropping out of nowhere. That's about as close as you can get to an official Kensington Palace message without putting it on palace letterhead. Then comes the subtle but sharp comparison. The piece points out that William and Catherine don't feel the need to put every detail of their relationship on display and that they aren't performative.
I love the idea that actually William is starting to realize, no, I need to protect these key parts of the British royal family. And I particularly loved the totally dismissive nature that he now feels in regards to Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, effectively saying, focus on the things that matter. Translation, Harry and Meghan no longer matter to William and Catherine.
On the surface, that line sounds calm. But reading between the lines, the comparison becomes obvious. Without directly naming anyone, it clearly contrasts them with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. The article quietly paints two very different pictures. One couple is presented as naturally connected, secure enough that they don't need constant public proof. The other side ends up looking far more curated, with public moments that critics have sometimes described as overly polished or carefully staged. That contrast does a lot of heavy lifting without ever saying it outright. The message comes across clean and controlled. William and Catherine are being framed as the authentic version of a royal partnership. Meanwhile, the Sussexes' very public affection suddenly gets viewed through a different lens when placed next to that narrative. No direct criticism is needed because the comparison builds itself naturally. And this is where things get even deeper. The idea that William and Catherine don't need to prove everything is perfect connects with older rumors, including claims from media circles suggesting the Sussex marriage has faced struggles, along with repeated commentary that some public moments can feel more forced than effortless.
Because that's exactly what they get for everything that they have done to really good people, you know? And yeah, it's so tragic, though, for the innocent children, I think. But hey, that's what it is. It's what it's going to be.
None of that is confirmed in the article itself, but those conversations are clearly sitting in the background, adding more weight to the comparison. To be fair, the piece never directly says the Sussex marriage is unhappy. Instead, it pushes a more polished message. William and Catherine's relationship doesn't rely on constant public validation the way some others appear to. And just like that, the comparison lands hard without ever needing to be fully spelled out. Now connect that back to the earlier line about putting certain family tensions to one side and focusing only on what matters. And suddenly this feels much bigger than ordinary family drama. It starts echoing an older royal pattern tied to a former monarch who stepped away from royal duties and slowly faded from the center of public influence. That parallel matters because historically, the farther someone moves from the royal core, the less power and visibility they hold over time. And by signaling that certain relationships have been pushed aside, William doesn't just appear to be making a personal decision.
It's really sad to see that happening in slow motion every day with Harry. But good on William and Catherine.
It is, because the thing is, P. Diner, actually, that's why William is right to try and not give these two any proximity to royalty.
It feels more like reinforcing an old institutional approach, and that carries real consequences. The more separation grows, the more any public brand tied closely to royal status can start losing impact. The message feels incredibly strategic. Distance slowly turns into reduced relevance. At the same time, the article also slips in another important update looking toward the future. Prince George is reportedly expected to begin boarding school this July. That's more than just a simple family update. It's a signal that the Wales family is moving exactly the way the monarchy expects them to move. This marks the next stage officially kicking in. The future king entering elite education, building connections, and shaping the image expected from someone in that position. It's all part of a much bigger long-term system.
Not to focus anymore on his younger brother. And absolutely, I believe that he will not be part of William's monarchy.
Meanwhile, Archie and Lilibet growing up in California are following a completely different path. The contrast between those futures is becoming more visible in real time. And just when the narrative starts looking polished, controlled, and celebratory, another story suddenly cuts through the middle of it. Gordon Brown enters the conversation through the New Statesman, calling for authorities to interview Prince Andrew over serious allegations. That instantly changes the tone because Brown isn't just another commentator throwing opinions online. He carries major institutional credibility. His comments can't easily be dismissed as gossip, personal bias, or tabloid noise. They demand attention, and they add a heavy layer of accountability right alongside the palace's carefully managed anniversary messaging. The allegations being referenced here aren't vague rumors floating around social media. They connect to long-discussed, documented claims, but timing matters.
They make all the important decisions together and support each other's work, says a friend. You couldn't find two people closer. The difference is they just don't feel the need to show it for the cameras. They aren't performative. Oh, I wonder who they're comparing.
And this is where the pressure really spikes. Gordon Brown didn't release those comments randomly. He spoke out during the exact week of a major state visit, a moment designed to strengthen relations between the UK and the US. That timing feels impossible to ignore. And to be fair, Brown understands politics and diplomacy extremely well. Publishing those remarks through the New Statesman during such a sensitive moment sends a very deliberate signal. Whether people agree with him or not, and many believe the concerns raised are serious, the timing shows he wanted maximum public impact, even if it created tension during an important diplomatic period. That decision definitely got attention, and criticism quickly followed because raising such explosive issues during a key international moment completely shifts the spotlight. It drags the conversation into public view right when the institution would probably prefer tighter control over the narrative. Meanwhile, the palace response stayed extremely brief. The king does not wish to comment further. For many people watching, that response feels far too limited. An institution that regularly emphasizes duty, values, and accountability suddenly appears silent once pressure intensifies, and that silence is exactly what critics are focusing on now. There's been no major internal review announced publicly, no broader institutional response, and no stronger acknowledgement at the level some observers expected.
She is allergic to be given advice about how things will come across or look through a PR lens. That's the total antithesis of how she operates. And isn't that interesting? Because it's also the antithesis of how Meghan operates, where everything she does is about how will this come across? What will people think of me? But the problem is there's no authenticity there. And the reason we have authenticity with Catherine is she doesn't think about the PR. She just does what she believes.
What Brown appears to be pushing for goes beyond simple criticism. It feels more like a direct demand for accountability. Either these issues are addressed more openly, or outside pressure will continue building from voices unwilling to let the conversation quietly disappear. That tension keeps growing, and it doesn't look like it's fading anytime soon. Then, almost like the story suddenly changes direction, while still connecting to the same bigger picture, the entertainment side enters the conversation. The Crown is reportedly moving ahead with a prequel series, stepping further back into royal history, from the era of Queen Victoria through the years leading into Queen Elizabeth II, covering roughly 1901 through 1947. That decision says a lot by itself. The show appears to be returning to the historical storytelling many viewers originally loved most. But it also quietly reveals something else. The more recent royal drama, especially involving Harry and Meghan, reportedly isn't becoming part of a major dramatized storyline, even though it could attract massive ratings and non-stop headlines. The ongoing business relationship between Netflix and the Sussexes makes any deeply critical portrayal seem highly unlikely. So instead of diving into fresh controversies, the series appears to be stepping back into safer, more established royal history. Put everything together, and this entire week feels loaded with signals. You've got the anniversary article quietly pushing Harry further out of the spotlight, Gordon Brown's comments sparking fresh accountability debates, the Crown changing direction with its storytelling, and the Sussex storyline noticeably missing from major dramatized retellings. Through all of it, one message keeps echoing from palace-connected circles. According to people close to the inner royal camp, William has made his stance very clear. Certain family tensions have been pushed aside so he can focus on what truly matters.
Of the coronation for William, I think William is just at a point in his life where he's finding his, place in the roles that he is going to be serving.
That phrase keeps showing up, and it carries serious weight. At the same time, Catherine's steel marshmallow image stays front and center. Calm, steady, warm, but impossible to shake no matter what pressure comes next. The direction now feels locked in. Priorities are shifting, focus is narrowing, and Harry no longer appears to sit inside that core picture. There's also another quieter signal hidden underneath all this. Sources describe William and Catherine as conservative with a small c, not extreme or rigid, but cautious, strategic, and measured. That's not just a random personality detail. It feels more like a clue about how they want to lead the monarchy moving forward. The goal seems pretty simple. Keep the monarchy relevant without completely tearing apart the structure holding it together. William doesn't appear interested in destroying the institution. Instead, he looks focused on adjusting it just enough to help it survive long term. Not a full reboot, but definitely not standing frozen in the past either.
That is going to be the demise of Harry and Meghan. They are just not going to matter anywhere, not with the celebrities in California, not with his own family, his children. Harry's children are going to be missing out with all the important things that are going to happen in royalty circles and family and cousins and all of that. Like Harry's demise.
William and Catherine clearly want the monarchy to feel modern and connected to today's world instead of trapped inside old traditions alone. But here's the important twist. They're not abandoning tradition at all. Events like Trooping the Color and royal garden parties still remain central to the institution's image. That balance matters more than ever. Too much change risks damaging royal identity, while too little change risks making the monarchy feel outdated and disconnected from modern audiences. The real challenge is managing both sides at once, protecting history while still feeling relatable to people living in the present day. Queen Elizabeth II managed that balancing act for decades, which is a huge part of why her reign lasted so successfully. King Charles III is now handling that responsibility under very different pressures and public expectations, and William seems ready to approach it his own way, more personal, more direct, and heavily influenced by Catherine herself. And honestly, Catherine's influence stands out more and more. She's described as someone who trusts her instincts and strongly resists overly polished public relations tactics. That anti-PR approach doesn't just feel like a personality trait anymore.
The trust issue. So, it's just going to have to be this way. And good for William to do this, because this is how you find balance and how you just continue with your own mental health, just focusing on you and your family. I love it. I love to see that like Harry and Meghan are just not an issue.
It's becoming part of their overall public strategy. According to insiders, she reportedly dislikes when advisors focus too heavily on media optics or try to carefully shape every public moment. Instead, she leans toward doing what feels natural and appropriate in the moment, and that approach creates a kind of public warmth people often see as genuine rather than manufactured. Now compare that to Meghan Markle and the Sussex approach, and the difference becomes much more obvious. Meghan has openly discussed organizing projects and appearances carefully, and many royal watchers describe their style as highly structured, with messaging and public moments planned very deliberately for impact. This isn't really about saying one side is right and the other is wrong. It's more about two completely different systems operating side by side. One relies more on instinct and natural presentation. The other leans more heavily on strategy, planning, and carefully managed branding. And when public reaction gets measured, that contrast becomes harder to ignore. Polling groups like YouGov have highlighted major differences in approval ratings over time. Catherine's quieter and less media-focused style often connects strongly with audiences, while a more visibly managed approach sometimes struggles to land with the same level of public trust or support. The numbers don't just hint at a preference, they practically scream it. That one detail about Catherine avoiding heavy PR advice explains a lot, because her approach is clearly working, and the results are landing in ways more controlled strategies just aren't matching.
Apart from royalty, the less significant they became. And
That's right.
I think William is thinking he wants to do the same thing.
That's what's happening right now.
Then there's the move to Adelaide Cottage on the Windsor estate, and that adds another important layer. Leaving Kensington Palace wasn't only about changing locations, it was about completely resetting the environment around them. The old place carried pressure and difficult memories. The new home offers something very different: privacy, open space, and a calmer setup for their family and dogs. It feels less focused on royal display and more centered on everyday living, and that shift has reportedly brought fresh energy and stability. Being based in Windsor also keeps them close to the center of royal life without the non-stop pressure that comes with central London. It's a strategic middle ground, connected but protected. And naturally, people compare that to Archie and Lilibet growing up in California. They also have privacy, space, and a very different lifestyle. But the biggest difference isn't really the location, it's the structure around them. George, Charlotte, and Louis are growing up inside the royal system itself, surrounded by tradition, family connections, and constant closeness to the monarchy's public role. That kind of environment shapes everything: their relationships, expectations, and future responsibilities.
I don't know. I also want to see the story of Meghan and Harry being told. It would be intriguing.
Yeah, but I think there would be too much of lies, I think, with Harry and Meghan's story being told.
Although, do you think even now that Netflix actually secretly hates Harry and Meghan now?
And over time, those differences between both worlds are only going to become more obvious. Meanwhile, the shadow surrounding the Prince Andrew situation still hasn't disappeared. Gordon Brown's intervention continues hanging over everything, cutting straight through the polished anniversary narrative. The palace's silence on the issue isn't just noticeable anymore, it's exactly what Brown is criticizing. The fact that King Charles III was visiting the US when these comments surfaced doesn't reduce the seriousness of the claims. If anything, it makes the timing feel even more deliberate. People can criticize the timing, sure, but that doesn't erase how serious the conversation has become, and that's where frustration keeps building. Saying the king does not wish to comment further simply doesn't feel enough for many people anymore. Right now, the gaps are easy to see. Prince Andrew hasn't faced formal legal consequences, and no independent palace review has been publicly announced. That leaves a vacuum, and Brown's intervention steps directly into it. The timing may not have been ideal, but the issue itself remains very real, and it isn't disappearing quietly. At the same time, Prince William appears to be managing pressure from every direction at once: family tensions, his father's health concerns, Catherine's recovery, the ongoing Andrew situation, and preparing for his own future role as king. That's a massive amount happening all at once. That pressure adds a human side to the entire story. He's not only dealing with headlines, he's trying to manage a family under strain while also keeping the institution stable during a difficult period. And through all of this, the palace narrative remains tightly focused and controlled. The anniversary article makes that extremely clear. It presents William and Catherine as grounded, forward-looking, and completely focused on the future. But sitting right beside that message is something much sharper. A very deliberate distancing from Harry. The word estranged appears, and it sticks in people's minds. Harry isn't being framed as simply distant anymore. He's being presented as someone firmly placed to one side. And Harry? He's watching everything unfold from California. Whether reports claim he followed it closely or not, he's still tied to the same media cycle. Statements keep coming out saying he doesn't need the palace or King Charles, but those statements only exist because of what's happening on the other side. Every move is being tracked in real time.
But I don't know. It just seems like, seeing their story from a real perspective of, how the majority of people see their relationship, Harry and Meghan's relationship, that would be groundbreaking. That would be very nice to see, but Netflix is not the one to do it.
Meanwhile, the palace keeps moving forward in a steady and strategic way, while the distance between both sides grows even wider. The bigger picture is becoming harder to ignore. William is shaping his own version of the monarchy, focused heavily on stability and long-term relevance. Harry now sits outside that structure, reacting instead of helping shape the direction. And that's the real shift happening here. The institution keeps pushing ahead, the next generation is already being prepared, and the message feels fully locked in. William has placed Harry to one side, while the things viewed as important continue moving forward. The quote from Jamie Lowther Pinkerton also carries major weight. This isn't just another random royal commentator speaking online. He worked closely with both William and Harry during some of the most important years of their adult lives. He left that role on good terms, stayed respected, and most importantly, remained publicly quiet for years. That silence matters because it builds credibility. So when he finally speaks, people pay attention in a completely different way compared to normal insider gossip. And what he says stands out immediately. He describes William and Catherine as genuine equals, not simply a royal couple performing public roles. The idea that William protects Catherine while she gives that same strength and support back completely changes the usual dynamic people expect to hear about. It makes their partnership feel balanced, natural, and real. He also points towards something deeper. Catherine's close and stable family background reportedly gave William a sense of support he lacked growing up, and that influence now shapes how they raise their own family today. That's not some shallow observation. That's insight coming from someone who watched those dynamics closely for years. And this is where things become especially interesting. Lowther Pinkerton knows Harry equally well, yet he says absolutely nothing about Harry's marriage. That silence stands out loudly. It doesn't feel accidental at all. Whether intentional or not, it becomes part of the larger message.
William and Catherine are saying Harry and Meghan don't matter anymore. And in some ways, that's the most damning indictment you can give a couple so desperate for relevance. And it's also William making it very clear they don't matter because they are not going to be part of my monarchy. They can do whatever they want to try and become part of Charles's monarchy, but they are not going to become part of my monarchy.
By openly praising William and Catherine while avoiding commentary about Harry completely, the contrast builds naturally on its own. There's no direct attack, no harsh criticism, and no dramatic language. But the gap is clearly there, and people notice it. Then comes the media side of the story, and honestly, the irony hits hard. Netflix reportedly spent massive money partnering with Harry and Meghan Markle, yet now the focus appears to be shifting away from their modern story and back toward history with the Crown prequel. Instead of diving deeper into current royal drama, the new focus moves backward into the years from 1901 to 1947, stopping before the modern royal era Harry and Meghan belong to. That choice says a lot without needing explanation. And then the Sussex story already had its moment through their documentary series, but reactions ended up mixed, with criticism from some viewers who felt the storytelling came across selective. Reports have also suggested the larger Netflix partnership has shifted direction over time, with the company focusing elsewhere now. So what's the safer option? Going back to what already worked: historical drama, earlier monarchs, and stories disconnected from current real-world tensions. It's a safer move, but it also feels highly strategic. At this point, creating a full dramatized version of Harry and Meghan's story would be extremely complicated. There are business relationships involved, strong public opinions, and ongoing developments that make the subject difficult to handle carefully. But that situation probably won't stay frozen forever. Eventually, when enough time passes and emotions cool down, a fuller version of that story may become easier to tell. Until then, the prequel fills that space. It pulls attention back to a period before today's tensions exploded into non-stop headlines, almost like hitting pause on the current chaos. And honestly, that timing feels completely intentional.